Welcome to Small Arms Solutions. Today we're looking at the BRN-Proto, which is one of the newest members of the Brownells Retro series. And, we've done many videos on several of the different versions of the Retro series, which I was absolutely ecstatic. Brownells has recreated all these original guns so you can have a piece of this history of the original AR rifles. It's also pretty neat, too, to go back to the original thoughts of what the AR-15 was supposed to be with the really lightweight rifle, which we have now with the M4 and the M16A4s. We now have rifles that are just as heavy as the M14 because of all the gadgets we put on them. But this goes back to when we had the original really good lightweight rifles. Now, to go back in time a little bit, the AR-10 was asked to be scaled down by General Curtis LeMay for a new weapon for the Air Force's security police and for their security in general, which was to replace the M1 carbine. And due to the advances in the small arms high velocity program, they went with a 22 caliber. And Gene Stoner, while still an Armalite, was asked to scale down his AR-10 to fire this new 22 caliber rifle. So Gene Stoner was undoubtedly the designer of the AR-10, which is the gas system, which is pretty much everything that was on that rifle for the most part. And he had given the mandate to his draftsman, which was Jim Sullivan and Bob Fremont, to scale down his original AR-10 to this new 22 caliber cartridge. Now, this goes along with a little bit of misconceptions of what's going on right now. They say that Jim Sullivan was the father of the M16 or AR-15, which is not true. The designer of the rifle was Gene Stoner, and basically what Sullivan and Fremont did was they scaled the rifle down, the original rifle design down to the new caliber. So the first rifle that came out of that was the XR-15 Model 1. Now, that particular model is the first model that is actually in Reed Knight's Museum down in Florida. This rifle was the original rifle that was scaled down. It had a very thin barrel for the new cartridge. It had the same signature top charging handle, same aluminum receivers. There was a little bit of difference in the sights. They were still working on the sights. Utilized the same type of furniture, the Bakelite type furniture. Utilized a 3-prong flash suppressor. It's different from the one you see here, but in concept it was pretty much the same. Now, the bolt was very interesting as well because it was literally a scaled down AR-10. So if you look at the geometry of the bolt, the location and the shape of the gas port, exhaust ports, you'll see it's very similar to that of the original AR-10. And, of course, the safety had the original pattern of the AR-10 as well, where you had safe at 12 o'clock, you had auto at 9 o'clock, and you had semi at 3 o'clock. So that was the original XAR-15 number 1. The next model we have is the 000001. Now, that was a slightly updated version where it had some major changes. Now, what you had was, instead of having the original handguard that was on the original, you have a thin Bakelite type material, not very strong. You had a top charging handle, of course, just like you do on this one here. There was no bayonet lug with an extremely thin barrel. Again, the whole point was to make things really, really light. But unfortunately, when you look into the reality use of these rifles, the lighter you go, the less reliable that you're going to get, especially with a small caliber, high velocity type rifle. And it also utilized this early 25 round magazine. Now, this magazine will be used in serial numbers 00002, 00003, and 00004. Now, the problem with this magazine was, which is why you never saw it go into production, was the way that the cartridge stack is on a 5.56mm cartridge. There is a slight taper that goes along with the cartridge case itself, which is why you see a curvature on the magazine, a 3-round magazine, so the rounds can sit in their most natural position. When they sit in their natural position, it's much easier for the rounds to feed properly. Because of the way this magazine was designed, your top rounds, when it was fully loaded, would sit down lower, and sometimes the nose of the bullet would hit the inside of the magazine, which caused reliability issues. When you drop it down to 20 rounds, you don't have a significant amount of curvature into that stack, which allowed it to feed reliably. So that's when you would see the 25 round going down to the 20 round magazine. Next one we're going to talk about is the serial number 000002. So there's 5 zeros, and then you have the number, which is also very similar, but it had no muzzle device on it. It was again a prototype. It wasn't a finalized design. Utilized the same kind of very thin, very flimsy Bakelite handguard, the same type of narrow front sight post, and that one too also had the early selector settings. Now we come down to the model 00003. That one is the rifle that you see here. This is in almost every way that rifle. And we're going to look at some of the changes you have on here. First of all, you have polymer handguards. You do have the top charging handle. You do have the narrower front sight base. You also have the new 2-piece handguard, which is removable instead of the 1-piece. You do have heat shields in here as well. And this one has the new selector settings that we know of today, where we had it changed to at 9 o'clock safe, 12 o'clock semi, and 3 o'clock auto. This is primarily done because it was found that the way the original selector settings were, when you would drag the rifle, it would go over to semi or to auto. It would not stay on safe. So that was one of the improvements that was made on serial number 00003. And the next one we have is serial number 00004. Now, this particular rifle was very similar to the Colt Model 01, or what we have here as an example is the BRN-601, where we had the triangular-shaped handguards. We had the charging handle that was moved to the rear instead of the top. We have a slip ring. We have a thicker barrel. We have a new style, more durable front sight base. We have the bayonet lug. We have the 20-round magazine as well. This is the steel waffle pattern. So those are the lineages where you go from the original model AR-15-1 down from the 00001, 2, 3, 4, and from there you have the rifle being sold to Colt, and we have the Colt Model 01 or 601. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a close look at the BRN-Proto. So Brownells has offered the new retro style stocks. The butt stock and the pistol grip are part of their standard series, just in brown. The handguard was redesigned to give you that look of the original rifle with the heat shields and with the holes on the top and the sides and on the bottom for your gas vents. You do have the slip ring as well. The lower receiver is your basic 601 or basic BRN 601 lower receiver, where you have no fence on the bottom. You have removable front hinge pin. You have the original gray finish, which was very, very important to this gun, not to have it in black. This is the only issue I'd ever had with any of the Brownells rifles, was when they first came out, they were the wrong color. All these prototype rifles were a charcoal gray color. They were not black. And Brownells has done a lot to take care of that. Pretty much every model now but the BRN-10 is utilizing the proper gray color now. Now, this rifle has the standard AR-15 type trigger assembly. It has the Faxon-made barrel, which is nitride treated, but they do another process on it to give it more of a manganese phosphate type finish. The front sight base was designed specifically by Brownells. Now, when you look at the prices of these rifles, generally around the $12.99 mark, these are not bad in prices because you consider what's on this rifle. This stuff is all new. It's all redesigned, obsolete designs. You have an obsolete front sight base. You have complete obsolete handguards. You have a complete obsolete upper receiver, an obsolete charging handle. You have an obsolete lower receiver. So you're redoing an entire a rifle. So you have to make tooling and everything for that. So all in all, this is a very good price, I feel, for this type of a rifle. We'll talk a little bit about the bolt carrier too, because this is something else that has been changed on these rifles due to customer request. Now, the bolt carrier that you see on here is a standard 601 type chrome-plated bolt carrier group. And you can see there's no forward assist notches on here. Now, these are also what Brownells manufactures. I do want to mention one of the things that has been changed. The original bolt carriers that had come out on all the rifles had more of a real dull color chrome, where the real rifles had this more of a shiny type chrome. Brownells they had gotten some complaints from their customers about it didn't look right because of the flat gray. They wanted the proper more of a shiny type gray. Brownells gave it to them. The bolt carrier that you're seeing here is one of the new updated bolt carriers that has a more correct finish. Now, the nice thing about this rifle is this is not meant to go and be a safe queen. This is designed out of modern materials with all the enhancements of the new rifles. So this is a shooter. The barrel you have on here is a 1 in 12-inch twist, so it's just like the original, designed primarily for 55-grain ammunition. You have a shot peen bolt on here, so that bolt will take any modern-type ammunition. It has all the updates. You have the updated gas tube. So you have basically a rifle that looks old, but it has all the modern changes up to the new rifle. So this is something you would be able to take out to the range and shoot without worrying at all about it. You have the original buffer red and the standard spring guides. You can buy these upper receivers by themselves as well. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to take this out to the range. We're going to see how it shoots. like any of these Brownells rifles that we've had so far, they shoot wonderfully. They shoot accurately. They shoot reliable. It's just an excellent modern version of a real old flavor. Now, the ammunition that I used in this was the Black Hills 55 grain full metal jacket, as well as some of the Gecko ammunition. Now, the ammunition that I used was the Gecko 55 grain full metal jacket with a muzzle velocity of 3,137 feet per second. And I also shot the Black Hills 55 grain full metal jacket with an average muzzle velocity of 3,038 feet per second. And the rifle shot wonderfully. For as far as targets are concerned, we're not showing any targets here because this thing shoots as good as any standard AR-15 rifle on iron sights, especially with my eyesight. So if you really take a look at the difference between this rifle and its closest version, the model 00003, the main difference you just have where the safety would be. On the safety would be the dimples on the takedown pins. The rear takedown pin would have dimples on it. The magazine release would have horizontal grooves instead of the circular grooves of the more modern day. And the bolt catch would be a little bit different. Now, if you're as anal as I am when it comes to wanting to have the most exact replicas as possible, you can get a hold of John Thomas over at Retro Firearms, and he can supply you with the proper bolt catch, the proper safety, the proper front and rear takedown pins, and the proper magazine release button to give you the exact look of where the original ones were. So I would definitely consider giving John Thomas a call if you wanted to go that extra route. Now, you figure what Brownells has done, a lot of people, when you look at these rifles and they review these rifles, they want to say, well, what they didn't do right. And I'm sort of the exact opposite. It's what they did right, not what they did wrong. Considering all the models that they've come out with all have their own generation of components. And considering how many rifles that they build of each, what would the cost be to go ahead and make all those rifles perfect with all those? You're looking at a cost that the customer would not want to pay. For those who do want those exact details down to the exact line on the magazine release button, you do have that option with John Thomas. He can certainly take care of that for you. I have pretty much reviewed all the models that Brownells has right now in their retro series, and they're still coming up with new stuff. You're going to be seeing a review coming up pretty soon on the BRN-180, which is their take on the AR-180. So we're going to be going over that, and really, who knows what's next? They're going to come out with. They consistently surprise what they're doing. And a lot of this is credit to Paul Levy over there. He's been the head of this, and he's just done an absolute incredible job. If y'all have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment. And if you enjoy this, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share. And please consider becoming a patron to support our channel. Thank you.